I read 10 books in the month of February, so let's do a quick wrap up on my thoughts on these books and whether or not I'd recommend them. If you want more in-depth reviews, I have a longer version on my TikTok and an even longer version on my BookTube, so definitely make sure you are following and subscribed on those platforms as well. The first book that I finished in February was Lavender House. This is a queer cozy mystery that takes place in San Francisco in the 1950s. It follows a lavender house full of lavender marriages and a gay detective that is uncovering a whodunit in the lavender house. I rated this 4 stars. Highly recommend, especially if you're looking for more queer books to read. Next, I read Play It As It Lays by Joan Didion. I love Joan Didion so much, and this is such an American classic of the mundane American life in the late 1960s. You follow Maria through basically sanity and insanity, grief, loss, her career, gender inequality, how women are portrayed. There's so many fun things going on in this book. It's not a fun plot by any means, like definitely kind of heavier, but a great American classic that I highly recommend. It's very easy to digest and comprehend too, so it shouldn't feel too intimidating, but Joan Didion is one of my favorite women of all time, like not just writers. Minneapolis Madams. This follows the red light district in Minneapolis, so it reads like an essay, but I was very intrigued by the plot, and if you're from the Minneapolis area, like I grew up here, so I was very into this. The red light district, brothels and all of that, they aren't really something that is shared a lot in history, so I enjoyed learning about this more secret history of Minneapolis, if you will. Layla by Colleen Hoover, 2 stars. Don't have enough time to talk about this book, but I did read Phantasma right after, and this was my second 5-star read of the year and my first 5-star read of February. It was so good. One of my favorite books of all time now. Highly recommend, and I cannot wait until the second book, Enchanter, comes out next month. Roomies by Christina Lauren is a marriage of convenience that takes place in New York. I read this in like 2 days. Honestly, it might be my least favorite Christina Lauren book that I've read so far for so many different reasons that I talk more about over on Book Talk. The Fiancé Farce was a very cute sapphic marriage of convenience that takes place in Seattle. The main protagonist is a bookshop owner in Seattle, and her love interest is one of the models on the romance books that she sells. So it was such a cute book about books, which I love. Lily Collins' memoir, Unfiltered. This read very juvenile, so I think I would have enjoyed this a lot more at like 15, 16. It was mostly just about her exes, not gonna lie. But I read Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This is an urban gothic thriller that takes place in New York. It kind of felt like Only Murders in the Building on Hulu, which I love. I could practically hear the theme song while I was reading this book. So if you enjoy that show, I think you would enjoy Lock Every Door. Currently finishing Vicious by LJ Shen. It's my first book by this author, but I'm loving it. It is so fun. It's definitely a heavy enemies to lovers billionaire romance book. Those were the 10 books that I read in February though, so definitely let me know your thoughts on these. Follow for more because I make a ton of book content here.